And thank you, Nicole, for joining us.
Hi.
Hi, I just turned on the recording. Everybody's got the link to the document. And I was just going to give a brief description of my experience working with you and then let you jump in.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. So I have been embarrassed about the number of emails I had in my inbox for a long time, but some of them are super duper important and I didn't want to get rid of them. And I look up stuff that's really old and I go back to old projects, and I'm a networker, so I didn't want to lose anything. And so I didn't know what to do other than hide my email because I couldn't possibly keep up with it. So I tried several different organizing tools and then listened to Nicole's presentation on Como 5. And just in a couple of minutes, I learned about archiving, which I had never learned before. And it totally transformed the way that I did my email. In fact, turned it completely upside down. And so I decided I would book an appointment with Nicole and get some one-on-one help to take this one thing that I learned and then just, apply it. And one thing that that struck me, as much as I feel like I'm really a technology, geek, and I try to learn everything, is that I had learned how to use the email pretty much on my own. Like I learned how to I didn't take a class on how to efficiently use email or efficiently check my email. And like somebody learning accounting on their own, I was not doing it the most efficient way. So even just in that short consultation with Nicole, as we created our systems, I realized I was sort of talking through my whole process. Okay, this is what I'm going to do in the morning. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then we got to this one step, and she said, "Oh no, you don't have to do that. You can do this instead." And this was something that would have cost me at least 5 minutes a day, which isn't a lot, but 5 minutes of dumb time, wasted time, and that would be on a light day. And I just thought of how much that added up to over the course of time. And I thought I need to continue doing this and not be the person who just like assumes that they know how to use that kind of technology just because everybody uses it. So now to Nicole. I'm going to stop my share, and you want to start a share?
Yeah. I've got a presentation created. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you, Shelly, for that intro. I teach on a spiral upward method, which is like you start where you're at, and then you just learn a little bit more and a little bit more, and it adds up. That 5 minutes becomes 10 minutes, becomes 15 minutes, becomes an hour and a half, and you can go have lunch or go shopping. And it's exciting. But let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. That here. Is everybody able to hear me okay?
Yes.
And see the screen. Yeah, a little background about me. I started teaching my grandmother how to use her computers. And so we started at the very beginning, how to use the mouse, how to click here, how to click there. So figuring out where the beginning is always been very important to me. And that eventually became a much bigger thing of laying foundation for things. So yes, email, super simple, but there are so many things we can do to make it more efficient, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. This is my Operation Inbox Zero presentation. And I also want to give you the freedom to make anything I say, make it your own and adjust it as you need, because nothing I say is going to be set in stone. There's going to be nuggets that you relate to and nuggets that you don't. And so take what you need and leave the rest. Okay. So if you got your worksheet, the worksheet's not required, but it's kind of fun to have, and it'll be good notes for after this is done. So first question here is, how does everybody, and go ahead and feel free to enter this into the chat if you feel called to, but how do you feel about your email system?
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you love it? Do you hate it? Most people don't actually feel either of these things. They just kind of deal. We just sort of deal with our email, which is why it tends to not be a front and center sort of situation. So we've got some people that may want to be on mute. I hear a little bit of background and I'm not sure if it's just me or my sound. So just double check that if you could, please. Yeah, looks like Ingrid, we deal with the email, and anytime we can get a little bit more information on how to be more efficient with it is helpful. So I love to go and answer questions, and I will go down rabbit holes if I answer questions too quickly. A lot of times during the presentation, questions will come up for you. Please feel free to write them into the chat, and then I might answer them further down in the presentation. So I do have some spots in the presentation for questions. So either write them in the chat or hold them in your own thoughts, and we will definitely get to questions. So for questions that I can't answer in a very directed way, I do offer a strategy session. So if you have a more private type question, please feel free to hold it and we can talk about it in person or in chat to chat. So over the years, as I've worked with email, I have found that the solution to managing your email lies in getting your inbox to zero on a regular basis. Now, this does not mean deleting all of your emails in your entire system. This is just talking about your inbox, the place where your email comes into when you first get it. Some of you may get a little fearful about this whole inbox zero, which is reasonable because we don't want to miss anything. And so that is the goal. I'm not suggesting we just wipe out your email and start from scratch. We just want to use that inbox zero as kind of a high arching goal depending on where you are right now. Because the strategy itself, it gives you a point of done. So think about as you're going about your day, something particularly basic that we all can relate to is doing dishes. You have a pile of dishes on the sink, you wash them all, you put them in the dishwasher, you're done. Your counter is clear. It gives you that satisfaction. Same with laundry or some other simple household tasks. Email is the same way. If you maintain the inbox zero strategy, then you know when you're done for the moment. Yes, you're going to get more, but you have that success, that win. It also gives you a plan for what's next. After you get through all of your emails, you know what you need to deal with. And we're going to talk about how you can manage that within your email system itself. I had a client once and I was helping her. It was one of my first admin-y kind of positions, and she wanted me to go through her mail. And so the first day I went through her mail with this great big stack of stuff. We started with the IRS. Oh, she got an email or a mail piece, physical mail from the IRS, and we spent the rest of the day dealing with it. Well, the second piece of mail was a client contract, which had we done the client contract first, she could have said, hey, print this out, do this, I'll work on the IRS. Had we gotten through the entire thing of mail first, we would have known that she could handle the IRS, I could handle the contract, we could get it all done. So we don't want to miss out on the things below our email for things that look like they're immediately urgent. To do this, I'm going to offer you one goal, 2 solid steps, and a mantra. And you'll need your handout for this. We're going to start with that handout, and we're going to begin with the goal. So the goal with email is to get through it and respond to those who need responses, do what needs to be done, save what needs to be saved, and of course, delete what needs to be deleted. This is the basis of everything that I teach about email, because our email is important. We can't just ignore it. We can't just pretend it will go away. The head in the sand approach to email doesn't really work that well. But before we can begin to really implement the management, we want to have a system that supports us. Most people have some sort of a system. I have clients who have 2 or 3 folders, and I have clients who have a couple hundred folders. It really depends on your style. And there are also some key indicators to determine if your style is working for you. If your style right now is not working for you, then this will give you a couple of ideas of how we can make it a little bit flow better. And for starting from scratch, the system that I recommend people start with is a folder of 3. So there's 3 folders to help you get to 0 fast, because that's our initial goal, is to get to that 0 inbox. For continued management of your emails, you're likely to need more folders than these 3, but today I'm going to share these 3 with you. Our first step, of course, is to create your folders. And the first folder that you're going to create is what I call an exclamation in process folder. And there's a spot on your handout to write that down. Now, this exclamation point is important. What it does is, in computer language, you may or may not know this, but the computer technology tends to organize things based on special characters, like your exclamation point, then numerically, then alphabetically. And we can use this to our advantage in organizing our email folders, as well as the other folders within your digital system, in your computer itself. You can use this system. Whenever you organize according to name, whether it's files or folders, that's how the computer will organize it. So this exclamation point will pop this in process folder as close to your inbox as possible. Different systems are going to do it differently. Like with Outlook, what I generally recommend people do with Outlook is to actually nest this in process folder under their inbox, as opposed to a top level folder, because of where it lands in the system. Whereas Gmail, the exclamation point will put it as high up on your personal folders as possible. And there are, of course, other things within both of those 2 systems that can be adjusted to make it even more efficient. Other systems, Outlook, Comcast, and this system can work as well. Our next folder is a save folder. Now, you may already have customized folders for saving things. We're not abandoning those. We're not changing those. We're not dealing with those at the moment. But this save folder is a great place to put stuff if you're not sure where it goes. And we want to get it out of your inbox, but we don't want to lose it. Shelly had mentioned the archive feature that I talked about. And that archive feature is super powerful. And what it does is you click archive on your email, and it will spew it off into the cyberspace of your system. And it will remain there to be found by a search. However, it's not in anything. If that is kind of scary for some people who aren't as readily resonating with the search feature, that archiving can be a bit scary for people. So the save folder tends to hold as a nice bucket for that sort of thing. You can put it in there, and you can go in there and look at it if you're more comfortable with that. Otherwise, archiving basically works just as well. The last folder is my favorite. And this is what I call the Z Vault folder. And again, the same concept with the naming structure. We put it as a Z to throw it at the bottom, because this is the emails that you just want out of your way. You don't know if you want to keep them. They may or may not be important. This folder is useful if you have, let's say, more than 1,000, 2,000 emails in your inbox. If you're hovering under 1,000 emails in your inbox, you may not ever need this folder. And again, kind of like the save folder, archiving can do the same job. It's just nice to put a label or put your emails in a thing as a comfort and a protection, and something that you can more kind of wrap your head around. So these are the 3 folders that I recommend for this system. And now we're going to talk about how that system works. So did everybody get those folders onto their onto your worksheets? Okay, so now what? Now that we've got our system in place, now that we've got a structure to deal with, what do we do? And this is when we take a look at the actual inbox. And so tell me, how many emails right now, read and unread, do you have in your inbox? Now, some of the systems will tell you how many you have unread, and some of the systems will tell you how many you have that are read, and some will kind of give you a duplicitous number. It's not always accurate, but whatever number comes to mind that you've got in your inbox, let me know, and we can see where we're starting with. If you don't want to share your number, that is okay. Oh, we got a 7. I like that. Oh yeah, Jennifer, 252 unread, 647 total. That's a lovely number. Not hard. Oh yes, we will be done by noon. Oh yeah, Susan, I like yours. And Ingrid has, that's wonderful. Oh, 7 email accounts. Oh, that's more than 7 emails. We can also work with that. Yes, that is wonderful. These are great numbers, and it runs the gambit. I've dealt with 100,000 emails in an inbox before. 40 total, 25 unread. Save today's email for an active demo if needed. Ooh. All right, well, let's keep moving on. I'm going to share with you a secret to checking email. And the secret to checking your email is that it's really 2 activities. First is identifying what you've got in there. It's kind of like that dishes scenario. Let's see what we've got to deal with. And then the second activity is actually dealing with it. Dealing with your emails, responding to your emails, researching your emails, that's your work. That's not actually what we're talking about here in managing email, because I certainly can't help you do your work. All I can do is help you get through your email faster so you can get to your work. So that first activity is triaging your email, and that's what we're discussing here. And then that after you're done triaging, then you can process it and you can get to work. So in this triage, we're thinking triage nurse here. In a busy ER, this email is an urgent matter. This email is less urgent. This email we don't need to deal with at all. Determining what those are and where they go is your only task. We're putting on that really quick brain, the yes/no brain. And to do that, we're not allowing yourself to do the work. You can't call the IRS, even if that is the letter that you get. If that is, of course, we don't get emails from the IRS warnings, right? But if you get that urgent email that has to be dealt with, chances are very, very good that it can wait the 15 minutes to get through this list. So we're ready for our questions. So our first question, and this question, you can almost look at a page of email inbox and ask and answer these questions from a glance. So the 3 questions are this. Number 1, do I need to act on this? Number 2, do I want to save it? And number 3, can I delete it? Once you've got these questions running rapidly through your head, you of course will want to answer them. What activity will you do? And the activity, do I need to act on it? You move it to your in process folder. You get it out of your inbox and you put it someplace safe. And this in process folder is safe. This is for emails that you need to respond to. This is for emails that you need to do some research on. This is for emails that you need to make a decision on. This is not for the long newsletters that you may or may not want to read someday, perhaps. These are for actual emails you've got to do. You can kind of use it as a task list. And then next, do I want to save it? This is for those newsletters that you may or may not want to read. If you want to save it, save it. Put it in that save folder. Get it out of your inbox, because if you don't ever get to it, it's really not going to hurt you. That's what the save folder is for. And if you have other folders within your system, if you can file your stuff within 3 seconds, then your system is intact and efficient. If it takes you longer than 3 or 4 seconds to figure out where something goes, then you've got too many folders. And this save folder can really come in handy to just get it out of your way. You can go back to it. You can always do searches. You can always do stuff with it if you need to. Chances are very good there's a lot of emails in our system that we don't need to ever do anything about. And that leads us to, of course, the delete it. Now, you can delete an email, and when you're going through a large email inbox of, say, over 1,000 emails, just delete. Don't worry about unsubscribing. Don't worry about blocking. Don't worry about marking as spam. Just go through and quickly delete it. They will come back, and then you can go through the unsubscribe process, which I highly recommend. So in doing this triage, big question I get is, what do we do first? And the first thing, I like to hop around. Sometimes I'll look through, I'm going to find everything important and drag it to my in process folder. Or I'm going to go through, and then next step I'll go through and I'll delete everything that I can delete, because that's a lot of fun. Or you can go one at a time. It really doesn't matter, but do it as quickly as you can. And depending on the size of your inbox, you may get to a point where you just can't take it anymore. It's too much. It's crazy. Grab the whole thing that you've got left, because you've gone through, you've looked for all your important. That actually is that first step, is go through your list. You may need to go back a couple pages of emails and find those important emails and get them out of the way. And then move everything else to the vault. It'll keep. You haven't deleted it. You can search it again, or you can go into the vault and look for it. But get it out of your inbox and you can call yourself done. And take a breath. Now you get to change your hat. You get to do the work. And that is the purpose of what you're doing. The email, we just want to get that out of the way and organized so that you know you haven't missed anything. And that leads us to our last little file, and then we'll have time for questions. And this is your mantra. Every time you sit to your email, I want you to think this thought. Triage your inbox, process your in process. So when you have that dedicated 15, 20 minutes, you can go straight to your in process folder and do a thing. Actually do your work. And you can know that as of 10 o'clock on Friday, my email inbox was clear. So everything else is new. Everything else can wait. And that is that in a nutshell. Are there any questions? So go ahead and raise your hand. I can see everybody. Just give, I think Ingrid, looks like you just unmuted yourself. Did you have a question?
What I found, I'm on a lot of email list of anything tax related or QuickBooks or whatever. And what I found is you just get barraged with all of this information. And so for a long time, it would just stay in the email and go down and go down. Finally, a year later, I go, no, I haven't read one of these things.
Right.
And since I haven't read them now, I'm probably not going to read them later. So I just finally delete them all, because I figure if I need to get that information, I can always go online and search for that information.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was too much.
It is too much. It is too much. And I think we're all of the age when we remember when good information was kind of hard to come by.
Right.
And that's not the case anymore. So it's like, is your email, is that where you go to get information? And if it's not, then there's no real reason to expect it to do that. There's no real reason to subscribe to as many things as we subscribe to. We can certainly unsubscribe. And in some cases where you do get a few newsletters that, yes, this is valid and valuable information, you can filter it into a specific folder that you go to. Okay, every Friday is my learning time, and I'm going to go to that folder and I'm going to see what's new and what's there. Any other questions? I think we've got this all wrapped up then, Shelly. We've got 5 minutes left in the presentation.
Well, so we have time to do a little demo, huh?
I have one more thing to add. I know I always but yes. What I've done with my urgent, I have all my emails go to my phone, because I told you I had a lot of emails.
Yeah.
So I'm able to look at it right away to see, the subject line, if it's urgent or if I need to do something. So that's really helpful, so that I don't have to continually look at my email. And then when I have some time, then I just kind of go through and move them around and do what I need. But that's how I deal with urgent emails.
Yeah. Jennifer, it looks like you have a question.
I was just going to offer that some of those things, like the tax stuff you were just referring to, Ingrid, sometimes if it's from an organization that I don't necessarily plan to read every time, but I want to make sure I get it, you can set from a particular address to not come in your inbox, but to actually go directly to a particular folder. And so on a personal level, actually it works well for coupons for me, for like stuff that I want to I want to get the emails from the Gap, but I don't want to see them. So I have them actually set it to go directly to a folder labeled Gap. So then if I was going to go shopping, I can look in that folder to see if there are any recent coupons, but then I never have to deal with them in my inbox. And
So
I'll
how do you do that?
email from organizations like bookkeeping organizations or something that maybe read them every time, but you have them drop directly into that folder labeled with that organization's name, and so then it's there if you want it, and then you'll still at the end of the year you realize you're never going to put in that at that tax but it's still there if you want it.
Yeah,
So
that's
that?
that would be specific to each individual system. So the how to do it with Gmail is going to be different than how to do it with Outlook. And so that is something that I offer in, I have a workshop series that I do on email, and then one on files, one on calendars and contacts. And here, let me share that. So the link, my website is luxentric.com, and I have a lot of different training things. And would love to also schedule discovery sessions with each of you if you have specific questions and for like that. How would you do that in your system? We can talk about that kind of thing in the discovery session. I can keep that link as well. And Shelly wanted to do a demonstration.
Yeah, but did you want to take us to your website? I'm still seeing the presentation.
Oh, yeah, I should do that.
Yeah, and I did mention before we got on with you that having the interconnected systems, the email, the contacts, the documents, and the calendar is
Yes.
so important to having an efficient online office. And I know one of your presentations is about that. So
Yes.
if you want to just show us what it's called, I forget what it's called. It might be something that
Digital Office Rescue. Let me get that.
Digital Office Rescue. Yeah, the description is really good about getting everything connected. And
yeah, let me get that up. So these are the workshops, and I have what it's the Digital Office Rescue Workshop Series, and it's a set of 4 workshops, one on email itself. And we talk about filters, we talk about files, we talk about strategies. In fact, there's a ton of other things that you can do. You can use, the stars and the important and the different things. But this whole series focuses on efficiency options for each of those 4 elements of your digital office. Because as you know, you check an email, but that email will also trigger that you need a file, or you need to save a PDF to your folder system. And then you also need to set a time. Clients will say, hey, I need to do this information. This is going a little slower than I expected. There we go. So there's the independent workshops. And the one I have coming up starts May 31st.
mm-hmm. So email, files, calendars, and contacts. That's great. That's the whole shebang. So everybody knows where to go to find Nicole and sign up for that. And Nicole would love to have you back with our group. And I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen. And it looks like I just got like 10 more emails that came in the moment that we've been talking.
Right.
So
and if anybody would like to send, put your name and email in the chat, I can send you just more information on what I have to offer and such.
So here I'm trying to do my 3-second thing, and I've got 40 emails in my inbox, and this isn't a perfect demo at all because I didn't finish my job yesterday, but 40 is really good for me.
40 is awesome.
Yeah,
anything
so
is still on the top page.
I would say I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing now. So I'm going to archive everything, which is going to save it. It's the same as moving it to that saved folder. It's just going to save it. And then my eyes are looking at everything that isn't importanted, or because the artificial intelligence is learning the importance from everything that I important, and it's does more importanting than
Yes.
than I do. So this is, if I click here, you can see it says, click to teach Gmail that this conversation is important. So that would mean every time I get something from Southtown YMCA, then it'll have that little thing on it. So I archive everything, and then I look to see what's important and decide if it really is important or if I'm going to act on it. So the star is my action. That's my in process. So that'll just move it over to the starred. So it's going to take it out of my inbox and move it over to the starred. So I can go ahead and archive it, because that's really just moving it out of the inbox. But I've started, so now it's going to be in the starred. So literally all I had to do was just start it. So anyway, I look at this. Okay, I got an invitation from HubSpot. I've already dealt with that. There's nothing I need to do with it. And I'm just literally looking at, do I know everything's going to be saved, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm not deleting anything. Everything's just going to be saved. Oh, here, Kara in my on-pay follow-up, you know what? I'm going to do something with her. I've got a thing I got to follow up with that, so I'm going to star that. Everything else, oh, yep, I got to do this. I'm working on this test for my Zero. So everything else is ready to archive. And this one, this product update, I think I'm going to go ahead and read that. So I'm going to move that over to my reading. And now all I do is go like that. And
there you go.
Yeah, there I go. Inbox done. So
Yes.
I've got my starred, I've got my reading, and that's it.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, Gmail is, I believe, the easiest system to work with, and I love how you made this your own. So we took, I've got the systems that are not exactly the same as what you've demonstrated here, but you were able to say, oh yeah, we can do this with that. We can make Gmail behave this way. It's got these features. And Outlook also has a lot of these similar features. They just look a little bit different. And that is something that we can definitely talk about in private sessions as to how your particular system can be made more efficient. So does everybody use Gmail, or do we have any Outlook users here?
Outlook.
Outlook, yeah. Yeah. And how about you, Ingrid?
I'm Gmail.
Your Gmail.
Lucetta's Outlook, I think.
Outlook. Yeah.
Your Outlook. How about Jennifer and Howard and Susan?
Email.
Gmail.
I'm,
Howard? Susan?
I use both because I have a couple of accounts.
Got it. And how about you, Howard? I think you're muted.
You're muted.
Okay, I unmuted you.
Use both.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Excellent.
This has been really great, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for the folks who couldn't be here, and then we'll go ahead and continue our chat and wind down.